Now, a political battle rages in India over agriculture reforms. The controversial changes have sparked nationwide protests. Train services in parts of the largely agricultural state of Punjab have been suspended as farmers stage a three-day sit-in obstructing rail tracks. Groups are also calling for a complete shutdown tomorrow. Shops, markets, factories, rail and roads will be closed. The reforms aim to make it easier for farmers to sell their produce directly to big buyers. But many fear that large corporates will have the upper hand. Rebecca Bundan joins us from Mumbai for more on this story. Rebecca, get us up to speed with what's been happening then. How are authorities handling the protests?
Groups of farmers in Punjab have started that three-day protest where they're blocking railway lines, and authorities have been forced to react to that. They actually ended up suspending either partially or completely 14 rail services because of safety concerns over that issue, as those farmers continue those protests blocking the lines. At the same time, there have also been protests in the state of Haryana as well. It's really Punjab and Haryana where these protests have been concentrated with very high numbers of farmers. Agriculture is a very important industry in those states, and farmers there are widely concerned that these farm bills could result in them getting less income, that with big buyers coming into the market, they could push prices down compared to the prices they're currently getting from state-run wholesale markets. This is something the government has denied. It says that these measures would be in favour of those farmers, but with calls for more protests, that nationwide shutdown planned for tomorrow, with reports suggesting that more than 100 farmer unions could take part, as well as other trade groups and so on. That's a big concern, particularly at a time when the coronavirus is spreading so rapidly in India, with more than 86,000 cases reported confirmed in the past 24 hours. That's quite worrying when you have large groups of people gathering, and it's something that police will have to keep under control. Over the past few days, they've resorted to using water cannons in some parts of the country to try to disperse farmers and groups that have gathered, organised also by the Congress opposition party, as this has become such a major political issue.
Rebecca, meanwhile, farmers are threatening to escalate their action. Is there any indication at this point that the government might reverse these reforms?
Farmers are saying that if they don't accept these reforms, that they can't be implemented on the ground, and they're saying if the government doesn't reverse the reforms, that they will continue and intensify their protests even. But of course, these bills have now been passed by the lower house of parliament. They've also been passed by the upper house of parliament. So it's not something the government, the ruling BJP, actually wants to back down on. Now, although many farmers are saying that the laws are anti-farmer, the government has defended these laws and has said that they will actually benefit farmers in the long run, that it will actually give farmers more freedom to sell to different buyers and actually get better prices for their crops. That's something that remains to be seen, but it's understood that the BJP, the ruling party, might organise some kind of awareness campaign, because clearly it does need to get farmers on board as well. But economists and analysts are quite divided in terms of the opinion on the effect it will have on farming. It's debated whether it will push prices down or it will actually help them in the long run. But clearly there are needs for reforms in the farming sector in India. It's really been a huge challenge for small farmers in particular in terms of profitability over the years. A lot of them have ended up with high levels of debt. There have also been high levels of farmer suicides in India, which is a major concern. And of course, farmers are an important vote bank. And one of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's promises has been to double farmers' incomes by 2022. So that's why it's become such a huge political issue here. But it's an ongoing matter at the moment.